Hello class, so today we're going to be doing sine and cosine. So write this down and then we are going to move on pretty soon. Alright, I'm going to talk about the word of the day real quick. So it is 比率, which means proportion, rate, or ratio. So like when you're comparing two different things, that's like how much between them, or like how much one turns into the other. That is what a ratio or proportion is. Usually it's represented by division. So when you're something over something in math. Alright, so let's look at how this all works together then. So here are some quick definitions. We have opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, sine, and cosine. So opposite. So when we're talking about opposite, what we're trying to talk about is the side that is across from an angle. So if I am looking at, for example, angle A over here, then the angle, the side that's opposite of it is 3. So across but not the hypotenuse. So it cannot be the hypotenuse, it has to be that. Adjacent. The word adjacent itself just means next to. So if I'm looking at A, the side that is next to it but not the hypotenuse is 4. So if we're looking at B, the adjacent side is 3. So 5, no, because it is the hypotenuse, which is the side across from the right angle. So 90-degree angle, right angle, that's what this is. Sine. This is opposite divided by hypotenuse. And in cosine, it's just another definition, adjacent divided by hypotenuse. So let's look at an example of this. Sine of A. So if we're looking at A, we're going to find the sine of this. So this is going to be, you always want to first write opposite over hypotenuse for sine. So the opposite of A is 3. The hypotenuse is 5, because remember that is across from the right angle. So it equals 3 over 5. Leave it exactly like that. That's perfectly fine. Well, how about B? If we're looking at B, then it's a little bit different. So sine is still opposite over hypotenuse. But the opposite side is different now, because we're using B as a reference. Across from B is 4. The hypotenuse is still the same. It's still 5. So we have all of that. So don't overthink this. Just think opposite, hypotenuse. Opposite, hypotenuse. How about cosine? Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent, let's look at our little angle here, A. So if we're looking at A, the one that's adjacent to it is 4. And the hypotenuse, that's just the hypotenuse of the whole triangle anyway, which is 5. Alright, great. So now let's look at cosine of angle B. So if we look at that, that's still the same thing, adjacent over hypotenuse. So from B, the adjacent side is 3. And the hypotenuse is still 5. So if you look at this, you'll actually notice that for sine and cosine, we do have the same answers. It's just they're for different angles. So sine of B and cosine of A are the same. Sine of A, cosine of B are the same. So that's just a little pattern that will be helpful to notice as you go throughout this. So now I want you to try this on your own, see how you understand that, and then we'll check it together. So these are Greek letters. This one is called theta, or if you're American, you call it theta. And then this one is called, oh, that was supposed to be different. Let me change that. I meant to do this letter because I have that typed over there. This letter is called phi, or in America they call it phi too. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to assume that you did this, and I will move on and have you check in 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so you always want opposite over hypotenuse because it's sine. So here we have opposite of theta. Here's theta. The opposite side of it is 12. And the hypotenuse, all right, what is across from the right angle? Across from the right angle is 13. So we have 13. So if you want to, you can always just circle that one and write hypotenuse. Do not label this one or this one opposite or adjacent because it depends on the angle. So not one of them is going to be always hypotenuse, always adjacent, or always opposite or adjacent. Okay, so here, now we're going to do this for phi. Hypotenuse is 13, so we just keep that whenever we're working with hypotenuse. Now opposite. Opposite of phi is 5. And then here, adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent side of theta is 5. Hypotenuse is 13 for the entire thing. Alright, so if we're looking at phi, the adjacent side is 12, and then hypotenuse is still 13. Okay, so if you kind of simplify it like this, just thinking about opposite and hypotenuse, adjacent and hypotenuse, then it's not super difficult to necessarily do all of this stuff. So try to not overthink this, and it should make sense. So do the Canvas quiz. That's all you really need to do for the credit for today. So have a good day, everybody. Quick, short-ish video here.